With the 2025-2026 season coming to a close, I'm going to do another tier list video. Last time I did a quarterback video that was about a month ago, give or take, and this time we're back with running backs. Hopefully y'all enjoy this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. First running back we're going to talk about is Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he had a pretty good season. He started off way hotter, and he sort of slowed down as the season went. Ended off with 1,500, or over 15, almost 1,600 rushing yards with 18 rushing touchdowns. Had a little over 60 receptions on the season. Definitely a very good running back. He was inconsistent some games, but he broke off long touchdown runs, and with after Daniel Jones got injured, he kind of got figured out. So, I mean, he had a really good season. As far as just overall running back season, though, for this season, I think there's better players down the board that I would put in the number one category. For this one, I'm going to put him in the top 10 category, and that's the same thing for Bijan Robinson. Obviously, a little bit more versatile, catches the ball out of the backfield a lot. The next three running backs we're going to talk about definitely do that, especially Jahmyr Gibbs and Christian McCaffrey, who ended with over 100 receptions on the year as a running back, which is absolutely absurd. But same thing for Bijan. I think he had a great season. I mean, he finished off with 1,478 rushing yards with 7 rushing touchdowns. Definitely, once again, another good running back season, but not the number one season, I believe. Now, Gibbs is an interesting one. He was very, very inconsistent. Like one game he'd go off for 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. The next game he'd go off, he would have 10 carries, 15 yards, no touchdowns. The inconsistency is a big part of running back's character, I believe. If you're I would rather have somebody consistently getting 70 yards a game than have somebody go off for 150 one game and then just put up a stinker the next. That's my thoughts on Jahmyr Gibbs. I still think he's a very good running back, and I'm in between putting Christian McCaffrey and James Cook in the number one spot. We may leave that for later. But, I mean, Derrick Henry, he was really good this season. He had almost 1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns. But the fumbles is really what keeps me putting him in the top 10. And I think he was the second leading rusher among all running backs behind James Cook. So, and then we'll talk about the Super Bowl running backs real quick. I mean, I like TreVeyon Henderson. I think he's a top 15 back. I don't think he's a top 10 back. But I don't think he's in the 20 to 32 category simply because he's very versatile. He's very explosive. I was watching him versus the Bills the second time around. Dude reversed field. He was running to the right and then completely reversed field to the other way and scored a touchdown. Absolutely absurd. And then we'll talk about K9, who went with the Adrian Peterson look. I did notice, and not maybe in this picture, but he completely slick shaved his head. So very much Adrian Peterson vibes. Will that translate to the field? We'll see. But he's once again a top 15 running back. Went over 1,000 yards this season, just a little over 1,000 yards with 1,027. Only had 5 touchdowns on the ground, but he was injured for a part of the season and then splitting the backfield with Zach Charbonnet. Hopefully he gets well. As I'm recording this, I think we do know that he is injured at this point. So Pacheco was not good this season. I mean, I'm looking at my notes real quick. But if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he didn't even go over 500 yards. Obviously, he was injured, but only had one touchdown the entire season, and that came in towards the end of the season. I think Pacheco, the Chiefs are not going to re-sign Pacheco, and they have a top 10 draft pick, and most mock drafts have them going Jeremiah Love. That's what I have them going on my big board as well. I don't see Pacheco in the backup role just yet. Just yet. But I don't know if I see him still as a top 20, 25 running back. That makes any sense. I'm going to leave him in this tier for now, but he may move to the backup role / splitting carries, and that's where I'm probably going to leave him in the backup role. I'm going to change this to splitting carries. That's where that's going to go. So that's that. And I'm actually going to move him down now, just because of that. The splitting carries role, I think, applies to a lot of these running backs, because a lot of these running backs ended up playing because of injuries and everything. But Chase Brown was a great running back this season. He played fantastically. I think he deserves to be in the top 15. I mean, he went over 1,000 yards and had 6 touchdowns on a Bengals offense that has no offensive line. And Joe Burrow was injured for half the season. Definitely deserves that spot. Earned it completely. Now, Junkins is in that splitting carries role with Dylan Sampson even to this point. The only reason I went with Junkins is because he had the more rushing yards and he had more carries. Now, Sampson, I think, is more the receiving back, and he proved that he's a lot of the explosive runner. And, I mean, it's the Cleveland Browns, bro. It's hard to do what anybody does on the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Junkins did not average 4 yards a carry, but he had 827 yards and 7 touchdowns. I'm going to leave him in this splitting carry role because that's what I envision them doing next season. Now, Jaylen Warren, he's a top 20 running back, almost went over 1,000 yards this season. To be exact, he had 958 yards with 6 touchdowns. So, he's definitely earned his role in Pittsburgh, but it may be a short-lived role. I don't know if Caleb Johnson's going to develop as well as most people think he'll develop, but we'll have to see. Now, Tony Pollard, I don't think he will re-sign with the Titans, but whoever does sign him, they're getting a top 20 running back. He went over 1,000 yards, almost had 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns, mostly coming towards the back end of the season, with the Titans finally figuring out, okay, we figure out a couple things, and Cam Ward started to look a little bit better. Now, here's another one that was really just because of injury. It was Woody Marks, who had a little over 700 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is definitely what I think a plug-and-play guy. He's definitely why he's a good running back for a backup. But we're talking about this season alone and the injuries that the Texans had with Joe Mixon being out for the season with a knee injury, and then splitting carries with Nick Chubb. He took over the role. And for this season alone, I think he's a top 20 running back. He proved he was versatile. He got sent into a scheme that he wasn't familiar with coming out of USC. And I think he took over the role very well. Travis Etienne, he's got a top 15 role in my opinion, but it's not based on his ability to make the explosive runs. He obviously can make the explosive runs, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's able to run between the tackles, up the middle. Pretty much he's very versatile in the types of runs you can do with him. Now, Kamari Vidal, I think he's going to be in the splitting carries, because if the Chargers do decide to keep him, they have Najee Harris coming back, and they potentially coming back. I don't know if they're going to trade him or anything, but potentially coming back. Now, he's in that carry. The only reason he played so much was because Omarion Hampton got injured. Even then, they were still splitting carries after the fact when he came back. I think that he is a good runner. If we look at his stats, Vidal had almost 650 yards and 3 touchdowns. With coming in for only half the season, that says a lot. If he was a full season runner, he would have had 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns, which would have been good enough for probably a top 15 role. But I believe the Chargers want to develop Omarion Hampton, and they'll probably have Vidal and him splitting carries. Now, RJ Harvey, I don't know how to feel about him. He's a rookie, he's a little bit older, and he did not look necessarily great, in my opinion. The overall running game for the Broncos was not great. He only had 540 yards, and he did have 7 touchdowns. So he was a touchdown machine, probably like your goal line back. I think he will still be splitting carries with somebody in the future, especially next season. And Genty, considering he was running behind the Raiders' offensive line, almost had 1,000 yards, and he even had 5 touchdowns. I think that Genty deserves at least the top 20 spot. Definitely had a lot of hype, a lot more expectations, but it's hard to reach the expectations when you're playing on the Raiders. Hopefully, if they do draft Fernando Mendoza in the next or in this draft, which I have a feeling they will, or even they trade back potentially, which I don't think they will, but in the second round, get him some offensive linemen to protect Mendoza not only, but to also give Genty some running lanes. I think that would really help him. Breece Hall is our next running back. He had almost 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns. Considering, once again, he was on the Jets, one of the worst teams of football. The 2 worst teams of football, the Raiders and the Jets. Breece Hall still deserves a top 20 role. He was fantastic this season, considering just role that he had. And most of these running backs I do not see being cut next season. This is just here for one particular running back, and I'll just get him out of the way. It's Emiri Demercado. I hope I'm saying that right, but the Cardinals' running game was just not good. It was not good. Trey Benson got injured, and even after that, they were not good. Just not good. I could put Alvin Kamara there, but we're going to go in order here. Stay on track. I get sidetracked easily, if you can't notice. But Devon Achane, he's carved out a top 10 role for himself. He was fantastic this season. It was the one lone bright spot on this Dolphins team. And he had almost 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns. Very explosive as a runner. Fantastic finding gaps. And he even made some plays where they didn't have any gaps whatsoever. No gap integrity or anything. And he made a positive out of a negative. Now, Josh Jacobs did not reach 1,000 yards this season. He did have over 10 touchdowns, 13 to be exact, and 929 yards specifically. He definitely took a step back, per se, but he got injured for the last couple games, and then when he came back in the playoffs, just didn't look the same. And I know Aaron Rodgers is not happy with Jordan Love because they lost to the Bears. That happens not often. We'll see how that goes next season. But I still think he's a top 15 running back. I'm going to have to add a tier like I did the last time for a top 25 because there's just way too many running backs to only have 5 tiers. So let me do that real quick. We're going to call this tier the top 25. And there we go. I know that I may be a little bit weird because I like to change the color of my stuff to make it color coordinated, but do with that what you will. So now we have this category. And some of these players I think are going to move up there. Junkins is going to stay up there because I do believe he's better than most of the 3 in here. I feel like they're in this position for a reason. Now, Scatterboo, the injury, I think he was good before the injury. But I still do envision him splitting carries with somebody like Tyrone Tracy. But I do not see him being the backup, if that makes any sense. DeAndre Swift was a top 20 running back this season. I'm going to have Woody Marks move down here. Nothing against Woody Marks. He's just a step below DeAndre Swift. He had over 1,000 yards this season. Or he had 1,200 yards, I think. Let me double check myself. No, he almost had 1,100 yards, but he had 9 touchdowns. So, yeah, definitely deserves to be a top 20 running back. And Aaron Jones, I mean, he's getting older. They paid him a good amount of money, but I don't see him being on their team the next year. I mean, I could have arguably put Jordan Mason on this list. He probably would have been up here in the backup / splitting carries. But according to the Vikings depth chart, Aaron Jones is their starting running back. Just according to their depth chart, okay? I'm just the messenger. And I think I could put Kamara in that boat as well. Saquon was a top 20 running back. He definitely took a step back. I'm going to move Josh Jacobs down here and move Saquon up a tier because he was still very good considering that they barely ran the ball with him and Jalen Hurts was stealing all of his carries. Yeah. Now the fact is for Javonte Williams, I'm going to move. Actually, I like where all this stuff is. Kyron Williams is a top 10 running back. He deserves to be in that tier. And so does Rico Dowdle. I think that he was really good this season for considering he only played half the season. He had over 1,000 yards and almost 10 touchdowns. Very impressive. Bucky Irving got injured. He was definitely a bright spot until he got injured, and then their offense went sort of downhill. I mean, his stats were not that impressive. I mean, let me check my notes. I do have all this stuff written on paper if you keep seeing me look over here, but he had almost 600 yards and 1 touchdown. I think that alone, he was still their leading rusher after getting injured, put it that way. So, he still deserves to be in that spot. I think he'll do great things. Javonte Williams, I have him as a top 10 running back. He was really good this season. I mean, he had over 1,200 yards. Let's see, to be exact. I wrote all this stuff down. That way I would have something to refer to. He had 1,201 yards with 11 rushing touchdowns. Better than Saquon, better than Travis Etienne, better than Chase Brown, better than Kenneth Walker. I don't know how I feel about putting... I mean, if we're going to put Jaylen Warren down here, we need to put TreVeyon Henderson down here. And then I'm going to move DeAndre Swift up here. And then the last 4 running backs we have, Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt was pretty relatively good this season. 805 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns. Definitely was a surprise for me. I picked him up in fantasy one week, and he screwed me over because he didn't score anything. And luckily, I dropped him before the championship. And even then, he went off because it was backup week. So, yay. And Kamara, you're going to be backup splitting carries, I believe. I mean, he was even splitting carries with Kendre Miller this year. And even Devin Neal was splitting carries. And that leaves us with the 2 running backs that I think are the best in the league right now. We have Christian McCaffrey, and we have James Cook. James Cook kind of sold my Bills. Fumbled in our playoff game against Denver. I'm still mad at him for that. Christian McCaffrey, one of the best all-purpose players of all time, I believe. I mean, we haven't seen a skill set like his in the entire NFL. Just the entire NFL history. And this season alone, James Cook was the better running back. He ran the ball better. But CMC had, I believe, 2,000 or over 2,000 all-purpose yards. I mean, James Cook was good in the receiving game, but that versatility alone, with him not having his quarterback or anything, is very impressive. And if I put James Cook here at the number 1 spot, I have a feeling I'm going to get some stuff about it because I may be considered quote-unquote biased. But I don't think he's the better running back. I think CMC goes here in the top 10, or he's the number 1 running back. And then James Cook is here in the top 10. To do some realignment, Breece Hall's going to move up here. And that's my running back tier list for 2025-2026 season. Give me your thoughts down below, and if y'all want to see a wide receiver one, let me know in the comments. Give me some feedback. Tell me what I should do different. And if you disagree, tell me why, and I'll take that into consideration. We're going to have a verse of the day, and let's get to it. And our verse is 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Thank you all for watching. Have a blessed day.